Hello everyone and welcome to the How to Reach Your Mobile Audience in 2015 webinar brought to you by CloudAccess.net and Happy Dog Web Productions. As you probably know, Internet users are spending more and more time engaged on mobile devices than ever before, and in 2014, in fact, mobile use exceeded desktop use for the first time ever. And if you haven't started creating a mobile marketing strategy, you're falling behind, but you're in luck because that's what this webinar is for. You're going to get a detailed plan on how to set some goals for reaching your mobile audience in the upcoming new year. Thanks for attending the webinar. Before we go any further, let me introduce myself. My name is Ryan Bernstein and I work for CloudAccess.net. We offer a comprehensive and complete web hosting and support platform for Joomla and WordPress, and we're a unique hosting company because you can submit tickets online or call us directly to get direct help with your Joomla or WordPress application. We can actually answer questions about the application for you. Now, I want to encourage each of you to find that GoToMeeting slide out question area and post questions to me during the webinar. You can also tweet at me during the webinar. You see our Twitter handle at the bottom of the slide at CloudAccess. I can answer questions there too if you happen to have questions about our hosting platform. But you can also post questions to your presenter today. And your presenter is Ryan Boog. And Ryan is the CEO of Happy Dog Web Productions. And he has been working online and working with Joomla and SEO for a long time now. And he's built Happy Dog from the ground up. I'm going to go ahead and bring Ryan in and say hello. Hey Ryan, are you there?
Okay. Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Not too bad. Thanks for having me on here. Did you have anything else you want to add, or you want me to jump right in?
Well, I'm just going to remind everybody about our YouTube channel in just a moment. And we are recording this, folks. If you want to come to our YouTube channel a little bit later today, youtube.com/CloudAccess. You can get come back and review this content. Ryan, you told me, though, as we were starting, though, that you guys start your web design process mobile first. Isn't that right?
That's correct. Yeah, we do everything mobile first. The desktop is one of the latter things that we look at. We start everything from marketing to designing wireframes, everything from mobile first.
Cool. And Happy Dog, you guys do everything from web development to SEO and complete digital marketing strategies for
That's correct. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. We used to start out just making awesome websites, and we kept getting the question, well, how do we get found on Google? How do we have people find our websites? And so about 4 years ago, we started a digital marketing arm focused purely on SEO, and now we've expanded to digital marketing. So we have staff that handles, copywriting and SEO and all sorts of different things. And we put together comprehensive digital marketing packages to go with these awesome websites.
Very cool. Now, I know you're in Minnesota in the United States. I'm in northern Michigan. We're kind of in the same geographic location, but I know we have attendees from all over the world. And folks, if you want to let us know where you're attending from, we'd appreciate it, kind of just to know how far this webinar is reaching today. And Ryan is also going to be posing a few questions for you guys. So find that GoToMeeting slide out question area and make sure you're able to respond to those questions and post your own questions too. Carl is attending from Seattle, and Marie from North Carolina, Emery from Central Florida, Kimberly also from Florida, Jan from Missouri. Looks like we're covering the U.S. Pretty good. Kristen from Northern Kentucky. Yeah. So we'll give a shout out to some more folks here. Oh, Diane from Watford, Hertfordshire. And
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Very cool.
Is there anybody from Minnesota on there?
No Minnesota. Jeffrey from Illinois and Kelly from Cincinnati. We'll give a couple more shout-outs later after more people reply. But, Ryan, I'm going to go ahead and pass the presentation to you at this point, if that's all right.
That's not a problem.
All right.
Well, hopefully my Minnesota accent isn't going to be too distracting for people.
It's thick, I'll tell you.
You should hear my grandma's. My grandma's was 100 times thicker than mine. So
right.
Hopefully you guys can make it through here. can you see my screen just fine, the presentation?
Yes, we can. It's all yours.
Okay. So what I want to do is ask you a few questions first, then I'll jump in. I guess a little bit before we dive right into this webinar, I'll introduce myself a little bit more, and Happy Dog. We make Joomla websites, WordPress websites, and custom web development, custom web apps, and we do the digital marketing as I talked about. I'm going to be on Twitter, so my handle is @RyanBoog, and you can tweet me there. I doubt I'll be able to answer tweets while I'm doing this, but shortly after I will. You can also go to our website, which is hdwebpros.com. So we just redid it, and we appreciate any feedback that you can give on it, but I think it's pretty fun and pretty cool, and you can get an inside look at who we are on that. Also, I co-organized the Joomla Day Minnesota, and last year was a huge success. I believe it was around 110 or 120 people at it total that showed up. Some trickled in and out early and late, but that was roughly the final number on that. And this year, it's going to be completely bananas. So it's a shameless plug, but if you love going to Joomla and anything Joomla related, and you want a good excuse to go to the Midwest, and especially check out the Mall of America, because that's where it's going to be, check out Joomla Day 2015. Our website for that is joomladay.mn, and it's going to be completely worth it. And the price is actually pretty cheap for that too. I think it's, I don't want to say what our early bird is. It's either 10 or 20 bucks, but it's something worth jumping on. The caliber of speakers and what we're going to be doing there is awesome. So it's another great place to learn, and I'm glad that you're on this webinar, hoping to learn with us. Bernie, how much time do we have on this webinar? I just want to make sure I'm doing my time right.
We actually had it scheduled for an hour and a half, so you're.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Good. I can get into depth and take some good questions then.
Very good
from everybody. So, so this webinar is going to be how to reach your mobile audience in 2015, and this will go over a few different techniques and how to do that. And before I jump in, I want to just ask a few questions, and then Ryan, if you want to read out some of the answers that they give, that'd be great. My first question would be, how many people use mobile or think about mobile when you're designing a website? Does anybody include that when they're working on website projects, that they know to do mobile, or is it kind of an afterthought? I just kind of want to see what the pulse is out there. So feel free to chime in and type it in the chat and see if it's important to us, or no, we don't really consider it.
Well, so far Carl says, I do. Jeffrey, yes, we consider mobile. Jeff says yes. Kristen, it's important to us, but Emery says mobile is not an afterthought here. Jan says first website, did not consider this. This one I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a common trend. You know, even back when we started the business, we knew mobile was important, but we didn't put a huge emphasis on it. But you see how everybody's glued to their phones now, and that's the way things are going. So when people hear that are on this webinar, when you're working on a website and you want to promote it and do any sort of digital marketing, do you even think about mobile and mobile usage, or not really? Just kind of curious about that too.
Could you state that one more time?
So when people are doing their website projects and they want to market it, do SEO or some sort of digital marketing or some promotion, trying to get visibility to the website, do people think about mobile phones and mobile usage and how to reach their mobile audience at all?
Carl responded that it's
for full transparency. We just
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Carl responded that it's very. Sorry, I think there must be some kind of delay here, but
that's fine.
Carl said it's very effective for us. Brandy says, I think about it, but don't know how or what I should do. And Diane wrote, not specifically.
Okay, perfect. My last question is kind of a dovetail off of that. And so how many people are you here and you know that mobile is important, but you just want to know how to take advantage of it or want to get a good game plan? And I'm hoping I get a lot of yeses on this. Because that's a question I like to answer yes to too as well.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of yeses, and it might be even might be good to get more specific. What do they want to know?
Well, that's what I want to dive into with this webinar. So, without further ado, I'll jump in and run through a couple of the slides, and start out with why should we care? Why should we care about mobile phones? Why should we care about mobile usage and tablets and mobile devices? I mean, is it really that big of a deal? Does mobile internet really even matter nowadays, or is it something that's going to matter in the future? It doesn't matter right now. These are all questions to initially think about, and so let's tackle that question right away together. And one creative and fun way is to take a look, and I'd say a year and a half ago-ish, we created a infographic here. Our designer Mike came up with a really fun one, so I'm going to click on it and go to our infographic. This is our new website, by the way. We redesigned everything with the blog and stuff. It's nice and fun and got a bunch of cool stuff. But let's go back to this infographic, and this post is called "Are You Mobile or Under a Rock?" And I'm sure you could Google HD Web Pros and look for "Are you mobile or under a rock?" So there's some intro text right here, and let's look at the infographic. And before we dive in there, I just want to share a fun little statistic on here, and hopefully it raises a few eyebrows. So in the world, there are babies born every day. There's about 350,000 babies born each day. So we can give ourselves a round of applause. We've got that down pat. We know how to do that well. Do you think let's see, a good way to word this. iOS devices, Apple devices, do you know how many are activated each day? Do you think it's more than that or less than that?
More.
It's correct. It's more. And so it sounds like some of our bedtime activities might be shifting a little bit. But yes, iOS is actually a lot more. It's over 500,000 per year or per day get activated, which is crazy. And Android is a lot bigger. So these stats are from a year ago, but it's taking over. There's 350,000 babies born per day, and there's 515,000 iOS devices and 1.3 million Android devices activated every day. So that might put mobile in perspective that, oh my goodness, this is growing way faster than humans are even being born. That should place a pretty big importance on why we should consider mobile and think about mobile when we go through mobile. So just to put that into context, that's as prolific as Big Macs. Android devices are activated at 15 Android devices per second every day, and Big Macs are sold at 17 per second. So that's how common these things are being sold and activated and used as often as a Big Mac. So that's crazy in itself. So the global number of smartphones, tablets, and laptops have already exceeded the number of humans. So the average person will have more than one device, and I'm sure most of the people on here will have a tablet and a smartphone or some sort of other smart device that they're able to view a website on. Going down even further, 1/2 of all local searches right now are performed on mobile device, and that's actually even more than that now. Mobile phones are used primarily for local searches, especially because they can tie into the GPS on the phone, and you can just go to Google and type in, where's the nearest gas station, where's the nearest fast food restaurant or something like that, and it'll find it for you. But 1/2 of all local searches, even more now, are done from mobile devices as well. And this is another fun one. It's always there graphic. The average person has their cell phone within reach 14 hours a day. That's being generous with an 8-hour sleep window right there. So basically it's by their side for 22 hours a day. I read, while doing research for this webinar, there was a few statistics that it was like 80% of people that were 26 and under could not remember the last time that their smartphone was not next to them. They literally couldn't remember when their smartphone wasn't within an arm's reach by them, on the charger or something, if they just didn't know where it was. It's literally on them all the time. So if you want to learn how to reach your mobile audience, you think it is maybe important, well, you definitely have the accessibility because it's on them all the time, and people are glued on their smartphones. Mobile internet users and desktop internet users. Surpassing the desktop, the U.S. internet was actually accessed more by mobile devices than by the PC. And another funny thing about the PC is it stands for personal computer. And a good quote I saw a while back and while doing research on this topic is somebody was talking about the PC, and they said, what's really the personal computer? Is it that big lunky box that you have tethered into your wall that you kind of have to sit by at your work 8 hours a day? Or is it that device in your pocket that knows who you are, it knows who your friends are, it knows where you've been, it knows how fast you're going, it knows basically everything about you? That's the true personal computer. The true personal computer, I like to say, is your smartphone. It's the phone in your pocket. Jumping back to this infographic, we put a little bit on there for why should we even choose responsive design. Responsive design will help save money. It saves time. It improves your SEO. It gives you better performance, especially in Google rankings. One thing that they just put out recently, if you look on any Google search on your phone now, you'll see next to every result if it's mobile friendly or not. There will be a little blip of gray text, and it'll say mobile friendly, and then you might see one that's not mobile friendly, and it won't have that on there. So there's that, and it also offers wide browser support as well. Other benefits is your website will look great everywhere. You don't need to pinch and zoom on smaller devices to read content. It's consistent and tailored user experience, and what I mean by that is for a responsive website, what it looks like on your smartphone, then moving to a tablet, then moving to a desktop, the user experience and the look and feel is very similar. It's not a big jump as a totally different, let's say, a mobile, completely different mobile website. The look and feel is always going to be the same and consistent. So that consistent and tailored user experience is pretty key as well. And all pages are available on every single device. Don't be a statistic. 46% of mobile users report having difficulty interacting with a web page, and 44% complain that navigation on it was very difficult. And mobile browsing frustrates users big time. It's starting to be a little bit better now, but even as of a year ago, more adults were frustrated by malfunctioning mobile sites than traffic delays, and that's pretty crazy to think about it, but we dug up the facts, and that was true. Then our designer threw a fun little graphic in here and how consumers vent their mobile frustrations, and some people curse at their phones, and some people scream at their mobile device, and some throw their mobile device. We definitely don't recommend doing that because those things are expensive, but it's just something fun we threw in there. Another thing that's important to think about is mobile users are impatient. The average bounce rate across browsers, desktop performs the best. But when people are starting to look at an iPad or an Android phone or an iPhone, the bounce rate jumps up at a very high rate. What a bounce rate is when somebody goes to the site, they don't like what they see and they just leave right away. They bounce out of it. So you want your bounce rate to be low. So desktop right now is low because people are used to desktops, but they're starting to try to look at desktop websites on these mobile devices, and they're not liking it, so they're bouncing away. So smartphone bounce, just in general, bounce rates are 50 to 80% higher than desktop browsers. So I think we should all band together and try to make that lower. This one is actually pretty startling, and it's pretty important. The average load time for a website on a smartphone is 7.5 seconds. That is unacceptable for anybody. The average person wants to see it in less than 3 seconds, And what you have to consider is potentially 3G. There are some older iPhone models that weren't on 4G. They're just stuck on 3G. There are some other phones that sometimes you just don't even have 4G in your area. You might only have 3G. You have to think about that big website with those images and all those different things on there. How is it going to perform pulling all that on a screen with just a 3G connection? Having it load in 7.5 seconds isn't going to cut it. 85% of mobile users expect mobile sites to load as fast as desktop sites, and that includes using 4G. And just by the nature of it, if you're trying to serve the same thing on a giant monitor that's plugged into the wall versus a 3 or 4G device, it's just not going to work. So when we're doing our websites and trying to reach our mobile audience in 2015, oh, gotta close this guy out. We have to consider the mobile users and the mobile website itself, and how can we scale it down and make sure that when people are on the mobile website that it'll load fast as well. Some good success cases that, and these are a year old. There's a ton of responsive websites out there now that do a great job, but the Boston Globe and Disney are both responsive, and they've done really well with this. So I know I went to great detail about that. I'll jump back over to here and go back to my slides. But so why should we care? Does mobile internet really even matter? Of course it really matters. It's a really big deal. So hopefully I explained that really well, and we've uncovered that being mobile and reaching people mobilely is a very important deal. So I guess it's a big deal, but now that we have that established, let's dive into actual ways that we can reach our mobile audience and some effective ways that we can do so. This isn't all-encompassing, but I hope that some light bulbs go off and you get some ideas. Everybody's going to have different ways to market different websites and to reach their mobile audience, and it's my goal to hopefully help you find these different ways to reach the mobile audience. We'll start in right away with one of the most important ones, which I believe is social. The social is mobile. That's just, it is what it is. When people want to go, if you want to reach your social audience, your mobile audience, they're going to be on social media. But the recipe is the key. How you do it is key. You don't want any wasted efforts. So first I'll read this recipe and I'll describe what it means. First, define your target audience. Who are you trying to reach? Second, find out where they hang out. Then third, create a social account or use a social account you already have created in that realm and then interact with them. Just get along with them socially. So what do I mean by all that? Let's say, for example, we've worked with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they have definitely a defined target audience. So they're not really going to be doing that well if they're going to reach just the regular ticket holders in LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is for typically business people, business owners, and it's not really going to work for them. So it'd be more of a wasted effort if they just pumped in a bunch of ads in there for just the regular season ticket holders for that. LinkedIn may work for their premium suite people, but it's just not really going to work for them for that. Another example would be, let's say you are, I'm trying to think of a good example here. Your target audience is very image-based, and they're young, and they're into everything that's on their smartphone, and it's very image-based. Couple good places to go into would be Instagram or Pinterest, depending if there's a decent amount of female in your target audience. Definitely Pinterest has done well because their demographic is really geared towards females as well. But it's also very heavily image-based, and it's a great way to reach them. But you don't want to just make some Twitter account that not a lot of people are going to follow, and you've completely missed the boat. So define your target audience. Who are they? And then find out where they hang out. A lot of businesses do have success on Facebook. Just make sure that your target audience is on Facebook, that they understand Facebook, and then go create a social account in that realm and physically interact with them. There are some great tools out there to see if they mention your name on any social media channel. And as soon as you get that mention, you get an alert. You can jump back in there, and you can say, hey, how's it going? Thanks for mentioning us, and if you have anything else to say, we'd love to hear from you, et cetera, et cetera. But on top of that, you can ask them questions. You can actually engage them, but actually one by one, find the people, interact with them, because other people will see that. They'll want to interact with you as well, and that's a great way to get going. So social is mobile, but make sure you define your audience. Find out where they hang out and actually go talk to them. Go be social with them. Go hang out with them. Share some good information with them, but don't be overly self-promotional, because that's not what social media is for. Social media is for being social and interacting with people, building relationships. So year over year, this is how growth of mobile has been broken down. And in 2013, it grew 115%, and it's led by messaging and social apps. Obviously people think of Facebook when they think of social media, but there's so many other social medias out there as well. Instant messaging, including texting and other Facebook Messenger and things like that, have been really shooting up as well. But you can see from this graph that the mobile use grows, but the leader in mobile use is social apps. So one great way, if you want to reach your target audience in 2015 mobily, is go on social media, because if they're on social media, they're on their phone, and it's a great way to have them pull out their phone and reach them. I know I'm talking fast. I get excited about what I do, and I get excited about mobile. But at this point, does anybody have any questions at all?
Yeah, you did have, there were some really good facts there, by the way, in a cool infographic. But I suppose I will mention this question. Diane wrote, the graph looks wrong. The access labels should be swapped over. Please confirm.
Okay, it could be. I'll run it by our designer, and if it is, we'll get that swapped out.
Okay, but
we still have the Photoshop file for that.
Okay, so a question by Marie. So if you use a responsive template, are you saying that mobile device load times will be acceptable to the consumer?
It depends how you code it. Yes. So I'll try to think of the best way to explain this. Having a responsive website doesn't mean that you keep all the information and it just moves around. Another part of responsive is what parts don't we need on a mobile device. So that big giant hero image banner, do you need that on a mobile phone? Probably not. And if you take that out with your code by just making it display none through the CSS, it's not going to try to pull it. You're not going to try to load that image on a phone, and it's going to save that much on the load time. You can take entire sections, let's say recent testimonials or blogs or whatever, and they have a bunch of images or something like that. If you don't want that to show on a mobile phone, you're going to save from all that load time as well. So you have to consider all things like that. You have to, large background images and things like that. So with your responsive design, yes, as long as you consider the mobile user and take out some of the things that you don't need on a mobile phone to save on performance. So hopefully that answers the question on that. And there's an hour and a half on this webinar, and I know I'm going to get done before that, so I'll have plenty of time to answer a lot of questions on that as well.
Can we do one more question right now? Okay.
Yeah.
Carl posted a question. We inserted a tab on a marketing flyer that allows a smartphone to scan and allows the user to go directly to our website. It is an awesome tool. Would that be a QR code? Or?
Yeah, that sounds like a QR code. That's most likely a QR code. And that's another great way to reach your mobile audience, and I don't even have that in this presentation. People usually don't mix print and mobile that much because they're just kind of different or opposite, but that's one way you can actually take print and turn it into mobile. I've seen people use it on signs on their door, on flyers, and it's a great way. You have to just pull up your QR app, but then once you hit it, it'll bring you right to the website. It's if it works for you, then that's great. It's another good technique. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. Is there any more, or can I keep going?
That's it for now.
Okay.
We actually put those QR codes on business cards. It seems to.
Yeah. Yeah, it really blew up at first. The QR codes was going really well, and then it's kind of petered off a little bit and tailed off, but it's still in use, and if people have the app on their phone, it's still useful for them. The dichotomy is sometimes some people don't have the app on their phone. So if you have the QR code, it's always good to place like a short link or something around there, just in case if they don't have that app, they can just type in the URL and go there. All right, I'll dive into the next way to reach your mobile audience in 2015, and the next way is to create a mobile app. And I'm going to talk on this a little bit about the different types of mobile people who are on mobile and use mobile apps, and I call them mobile addicts. And as well as I, there's people that are addicted to their phone. And so with creating a mobile app, there are different level of mobile addicts. So the typical consumer launches apps about 10 times per day on average. And that's the average everyday consumer. On average, you'll open up 10 apps. That could be your email app. It could be Facebook. It could be Instagram, whatever it may be. It could be a custom one for your business. There's a lot of different apps out there. But the average typical consumer launches apps about 10 times per day on their phone or tablet, just on average. So that's not like the person who's addicted or anything like that. That's just the average everyday user. Going into further depth, the super user category of people, they launch apps about 16 to 60 times per day. And that rate grew 55%, and regular users grew 23%. So I have those percentages in there. I probably could have worded them a little bit better. I apologize about that. But it's just to show you that more and more people are opening more and more mobile apps each day. Taking that a step further, the true mobile addict will launch apps more than 60 times per day. The mobile addict segment grew 123% to 176 million users in March of 2014. That's typically the person who, and I know you might smile at this, but as soon as you wake up, one of the first things you do, you reach over for your phone. Okay, anybody mention me on Facebook? Let's check my email. Okay, now that I'm still in bed, let me turn my phone off and go up and get some breakfast. The mobile addict, and I've been in all three of these categories. I try to monitor my mobile use, but I being in the industry that I'm in, I'm just kind of glued to it anyways. Launching apps 60 times per day, that's what I've seen quite a few people do. And more people are just glued to their phones, and they like the little short buttons and going onto a mobile app. So that's the three levels of mobile addicts and how people typically use mobile apps. And some people will take a mobile app and they'll hybrid it with a web app or a responsive website. And what that means is, I believe REI did this, and I think a few other bigger companies have done this, where they have a nice responsive website and you can view it on your phone, and it looks nice and beautiful. And at the bottom of it, there's a link. They say you want a more custom web experience or something like that. They have actually a custom web app, and the custom web app is synced in with their payment system, and they really factor in a lot of these statistics that go into using a mobile phone specifically. Especially, they'll consider things how many pixels or centimeters or millimeters the average thumb pad or finger pad is when they tap on a mobile app. So they don't want to make links too close to each other. They don't want buttons too close to each other. Everything needs to be big. And how close is it to your thumb? Is it in the middle of the screen, or is it on the corner? There's a lot of things that people think about now when they're making their mobile apps. So making a mobile app can be a very effective way to reach your mobile audience in 2015. But this would also be done responsibly. I'll go into an example of when you probably shouldn't do a mobile app, or one that's probably not done as well. I gave a very similar presentation to this to our local Chamber of Commerce about 2 months ago. And I came across this screen, and I kind of asked to talk about mobile addicts, and I asked everybody, so have you ever seen an instance where the mobile app really wasn't necessary, and you just wonder why you were even using the mobile app. And somebody commented, and she said, yeah, actually, the school that my son goes to has a mobile app. And it has a little menu on there, and it says, okay, what's for hot lunch, or what, where's this and that. And every link on there just goes to the website anyways, so I have to go out of the app and go to the website, and it's just kind of, why is there even an app? What does it even do? And that's a good example of, maybe that's not the right solution for that school. Maybe their target audience and the way their school is set up and the amount of information that they're willing to share is probably better served just on a responsive website. Just have the website look nice, steer everybody just towards the one place, just towards the website, and call it a day, and have it done well. So if you're thinking about doing a mobile app, the biggest thing to be concerned about is make sure that it's the right idea, and that you have enough reason to use a mobile app. I wouldn't just make an app to make an app, because an app takes space on their phone, and it's something that really ties into the user. So if you're going to make a mobile app, make sure it's powerful, make sure it gives off the right information, and it creates more functionality than you could achieve in just the website alone. That being said, creating a mobile app, if you do it right, is a great way to reach your mobile audience in 2015, especially considering these mobile addicts and the rate that people use their mobile phones. So that's another way that we can do that. And another way to reach your mobile audience in 2015 is to optimize your SEO plan. And SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. And you're kind of you might be wondering, how do you optimize your SEO plan for mobile phones and for tablets? It's kind of a strange thing to think about, because SEO is across all browsers. It's across desktop and everything else. Well, going back to that infographic I had, a lot of the search that's done on mobile is based on local. And so if you optimize your SEO plan and really push for your local rankings and to do well locally, then indirectly you're optimizing your SEO plan for mobile. Based on local corporation and the e-tailing group research, you just need to include mobile search in your marketing plans, especially local. A great way to do that, and a great way to help yourself rank locally, is citations. And what do I mean by that? You can make sure that your profile is listed on Yelp and Foursquare, and there's other local directories that people might want to get on to see where you're at. And if you have a bunch of local directories, let's say a local city pages, or there's a bunch for the food industry. There's tons of them out there. But if you have a consistent address and phone number, and you get reviews and people talk about you locally, Google sees that, and they know they'll rank you very well if you have a lot of citations, a lot of people talking about your product, leaving actual reviews, not fake ones, because Google can sniff that out. But optimizing your digital marketing plan and making sure that you're focusing on local will inherently make sure that you're including mobile in your digital marketing plans. 50% of smartphone owners believe search listings influence their purchase decisions. So if you're ranking well, basically the point of this sentence is if you rank well, you're going to perform well on a smartphone, especially given that smartphone people just don't have the time or the patience. They choose basically what they see right away on the first page. On the desktop, you have the luxury of going down and going a few pages deep and seeing different results. And on a smartphone and on a tablet, you just kind of want to click on one of the first things you see. So that trust factor is really there. You want to make sure that you're ranking well. By ranking well, inherently you're also just going to be doing well for your mobile as well. So 50% of smartphone owners, and I believe it's probably around the same percentage for tablet, search result directly influence their purchase decisions. Basically, if you're going to rank well, they're going to click on you or tap on your link and check on your website. 31% of smartphone owners surveyed believe that mobile results with local availability, they influence their purchase decisions. What do I mean by that? So let's say somebody searches for a term and they see that you ranked organically, and they also see that you ranked locally, and people are talking about you locally. This is kind of a combination between the two. If you can do both, rank well locally, and also naturally show up in the search listings, you're going to dominate. You're going to do so well in your digital marketing and your search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is a very important part of digital marketing, and if you rank well locally and you're ranking well for certain keywords or key terms, just inherently you're going to do well on mobile devices because they click on one of the first things they see, and they see that you're a very trustworthy, reputable business. So here's some interesting statistics that were pulled up in March of 2014. We found this on marketingcharts.com. It kind of goes off the statistics I just talked, that these are what influenced people's decisions when they were shopping online. And it's funny that search results listings is more important than ratings and reviews. And what I mean by that is somebody sees a product and they see the ratings and reviews, and you think that would be the end-all be-all for why they made the decision. But actually, it's the search results listings. They're more impressed and more apt to do something because they ranked well right away. That shows them more credibility than the ratings and reviews. I found that strange and actually pretty intriguing, and dug into it a little bit further, and it's all true that if you search well and you rank well with your search engine optimization, that builds a big trust factor with your company, and it's more important than ratings and reviews. And then just below that is mobile search results with local availability. And underneath that, you can see emails from retailers where you've opted in, group buying codes, and then mobile apps. So how you rank online is very, very important. All right, we can jump into the next way to reach your mobile audience in 2015. And this is one that's typically not talked about a lot in the digital marketing realms. A lot of people really focus hard on SEO, and I wanted to present to you a bunch of different ways that you can reach everybody on their mobile phones. And one way is through mobile email. And in mobile email, there are do's and don'ts, definitely, but mobile email definitely makes the business world go round. So one of the more interesting statistics that I ran into when creating these slides is that there's more email opened on mobile devices than there are on desktop. That's really, really incredible. If you really think about that, you go to work and you're tethered to your computer all day, and you're working all day. So typically you're checking your email and you're doing everything from a desktop all day. That's what you're paid to do for some people. You would think that emails being opened would definitely just be dominated by desktops because that's what it is. Well, that's not the case. There are more email opens on mobile devices versus desktops. To me, that's incredible, and that's really eye-opening. That I think email should definitely now be geared towards mobile devices as well. Another good statistic to show you is that almost 75% of smartphone users check work and personal email on their smartphones, and this is back in 2013. And half of them also check on a tablet as well. So what does that sentence really mean for reaching your mobile audience in 2015? It means that the accessibility is there. You send out the mobile email to them. You send out any email to them, and you especially tailor it for a mobile device, that they'll reach it and they'll open it. And you've seen how often that they have their smartphones and their tablets next to them. They're going to get it. They're going to open it. Now, some people throw it to spam right away or go to a different folder on their Gmail, and I understand all that. And the success rates isn't as high as a lot of people like, but it's still important. I've seen companies use it and do well with it, and they've got some good business out of it. So mobile email is definitely a great way to get a hold of your mobile audience in 2015. Mobile email also delivers more revenues per click than desktop emails revenues per click, and that's based on advertisement. And the only reason I have that that sentence in there is the dollars per click on the advertisement is that mobile is more important and can garner more attention and control, and being on a mobile device is important, and that data just doesn't come out of nowhere. That they know that an email on a mobile device is very, very important, and people that click on an ad or do something on there are more likely to pay a lot more. So that being said, this is a graphic that's, to me, I could probably have tweaked this up, made it look a little nicer, just kind of grabbed it straight from the source, but it just shows that mobile email is opened up a lot more than desktop, and webmail basically is desktop too. So, so email is another great way to reach your mobile audience in 2015. Next, I'll jump into mobile advertising, and mobile ads is pretty neat. Google and other advertising mediums have specific setups for advertising specifically on mobile, but that little bit of extra attention could be all of the difference. So I'll go into the stat that I read here and explain a little bit more about mobile advertising. Global mobile advertising spend increased 105% to a total of almost $18 billion in 2013. That's with a B, so that's pretty wild. And it's expected to grow another 75% to $31.5 billion, just about. So that's almost a quarter of all digital advertising spent worldwide. That's completely bananas. So if you have an advertising budget and you want to use it effectively, the trend is going mobile for sure. And if you have a target audience and you have them defined and you want to reach them, mobile ads is a great way to do that. There are specific setups with Google, I know, that you can create a mobile-specific ad that doesn't take up a lot of real estate but has your message clearly defined, things like that you can gear for a mobile device, or specifically will only show for a mobile person, so you can use language like tap this, tap that, tap to call, things like that 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 it'll make sense to them because they're on a mobile device. You can really take advantage of it. Mobile advertising it's huge. It's not just Google that allows you to do that. There's other retargeting methods and other advertising networks you can jump on as well that will show you, okay, we'll only show these to mobile phones, and these are our ad sizes. And then when you go through your campaigns and you talk to your project manager and you go through digital marketing, say, I want to create a mobile-specific ad. I'm going to show it across these devices and show it at this time of the day, and you could get really specific with it, and that will garner you so much more success, because when somebody reaches it on their mobile device and they see it, they're going to be, oh my goodness, this is custom tailored just for me, and these people were thinking mobile. They know what they're doing. Let's see what they're all about, and let's give them a tap. And they tap the ad, and you get a little bit of revenue back. So mobile advertising is definitely an effective way to reach your mobile audience in 2015. And here's an interesting statistic, and it shows the incredible rise just from 2012 and where it's going to be going. In 2012, there's only $8.76 billion in mobile advertising, and say only, that's a lot. But you can see the rate of where it's grown up to 31.45 currently, and it's expected to grow even more and more and more. And it's not going to grow as dramatic of a rate right away, but it's still, you can see it's fairly dramatic. So the mobile internet ad and spending worldwide is, you can tell when you see trends like this, you jump on them and you take advantage of them. And this is a great one to jump on and take advantage of as well. So one of the last things I want to talk about is your website. And I know we already had a few questions about websites, and I'll be glad to answer any questions about responsive websites, and I'll even answer coding-specific questions too if you want. But I think one of the most effective, if not the most important thing to think about when you're thinking about your mobile audience is your website. Your website is so important to you, but you got to think about also your mobile audience. What impression are you giving them? And this is something I often talk about when I'm going through new proposals with new clients and going through new projects. What impression do you want to give? Typically, it's it's very common. We'll see a company that's worth millions and millions of dollars, and their website's just outdated and there's not much on it. And you go to their office and it's just beautiful, and they got these big nice conference rooms, and they got nice product, a great service, but the website, there isn't really much to it. And so I ask, well, what impression do you think people are getting when they visit the website? And typically it's it could be worked on, but then if you ask it in this manner, what impression are you giving to people on their smartphones? That's when you really start getting people scratching their heads, and that's really an important question to ask. What impression are you giving people when they pull up your website on their smartphone? If it's not responsive and they have to pinch and zoom, you saw from the statistics before, they're just going to bounce out of it. And if it loads slow, they're just going to bounce out of it. If it's not really custom to them for the mobile device, they're going to move on to the competitor because they don't like that. And on top of that, that hurts your brand as well. If you're not giving them a good impression, they're less likely to do business with you, even on a desktop. So having a mobile responsive website is very, very important. So what impression are you giving? That's a very important question to ask. 86% of people that go to a website that isn't optimized for mobile won't go back to it. They just won't. We see it and we have to pinch and zoom, and I can't find this link and tap to it and have to scroll, really zoom in to find the navigation, and when you hit it, that little window pops up and you have to, okay, which area where did you mean to tap this thing? And then you have to tap it again. Nobody wants to do that. So if you're in a time where you could potentially be redoing your website, or you're working with somebody that could be redoing their website, think about what impression are they giving, and it's a perfect time to go over optimizing the website for mobile, because if you don't, 86% of the people will just view it and they'll leave and they'll never come back, and it'll actually hurt the brand. More importantly, the website is the face of your company digitally. And what I mean by that is, instead of just a storefront, this is like a storefront that's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's always got somebody there at the front door greeting somebody and somebody there on the phone answering questions. That's basically what it is. People can go online at any time on any device and check out who you are. And this is the face of your company. It's your brand name. It's your logo. It's got everything on there. So this ties back to what impression are you giving, but it's there 24/7 for people to check out. So again, if you're in any period of time where you're going to be redoing your website or one for a client, these are questions to run through with the client. The website is the face of your company digitally, so what impression are you giving? So now is a perfect time to redo your website and truly connect with your mobile audience. And I'll expand on that a little bit further by talking about responsive design. There are two different types of ways to design a mobile website. There's adaptive and there's responsive. Responsive web design is a buzzword that's out there. A lot of people have talked about it, heard about it, and it basically means that the content will shift and move around based on the width of the screen or the device that you're on. You can take it a few steps further and browser sniff here and there a little bit and get really specific, but in general, the smaller the screen gets, the less things will show on there. So adaptive is a little bit different. If you go to a website on a mobile phone, and sometimes you see in the URL m.whatever.com, you'll see that that's a mobile-specific website, and that is adapting to it's sniffing out like, okay, this person's on the mobile device, let's redirect them to the different mobile website. Those can be really powerful too, because you can completely customize them. The reason that I don't like using those in a lot of instances is because, one, the transition from phone to tablet to computer isn't as seamless, and two, a lot of times it's a different website. You have to completely different website you have to maintain. I know in Joomla you can show a template based on a mobile device. So using SH404, I know you can. Otherwise, you can code it into Joomla if you really know your way around the code. But again, it's better probably just to do a responsive website and plan accordingly. And to show you kind of how we do it and how we have done it before, I'll drag over a couple of wireframes just to show you that we start at the mobile phone and we build outwards. I mentioned before that we worked with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I'll bring over one of our wireframes that we did, and I guess I can zoom in on it a little bit. It's not going to zoom in. There it is. And we start, this is our original first ever wireframe for it. We kind of expanded on it since then. But we took into consideration where's the right thumb going to be, and if there's a left thumb, can I click on something there? What style of advertisement should be there? And different parts of it that's completely customized for a mobile phone. So we go over our custom templates and make our custom website. We don't even think about the desktop, not until way after the fact. And this is kind of fun because after we build everything out for a mobile phone, you can add to it. So if you make the tablet version of it, you can talk about, I can add this image rotator, I can add something else because there's more real estate to play with. So this is an example wireframe that we did for the Timberwolves. This is another one we did for a client that I just put this on there. What do you do if you have a big, huge logo that can't really change and you don't know what to do with it and you can't shrink it? Sometimes you get clients that you just kind of have to work with things like that. So we had to kind of custom tailor our design around this big logo and try to make it work on a mobile device, and it actually worked out pretty well. And then see another one for the Timberwolves is showing what the mobile phone looks like after you scroll it and the footer and everything. So it's just I'm just showing you these just to show you different ways to think about mobile devices when you're designing your own templates or even looking at other templates. Are they responsive? Do they consider things like this? But when you're redoing your website, these are all things that are very important to think about as well. So your website, it's crucial that it's responsive and that you can reach your mobile audience, because if you do your digital marketing correctly and people want to research you, they're going to find you online and they're going to find your website. So now we can recap a little bit and go over all the techniques and tactics that I've talked about for the last hour or so, and hopefully I've sparked a few ideas and some light bulbs have gone off, and then I'll answer a bunch of questions because I know I'm wrapping this up a little bit short, but that's completely fine. The first way to reach your mobile audience in 2015, take advantage of social media. Find out where your target audience is, create an account on there, and actually go interact with them. Don't be self-promotional, just interact with them. See what they're up to, what they're like, and build a social relationship with them. That's what it's for, and it can be very effective if you do it right. Create a mobile app if it's necessary. If there's a place for it, create an app for it. There's a lot of people that are addicted to mobile apps and they open them all the time. So if you have a use for it, sure, make it up, and people will probably jump on there if you do it right. Another way to do it is search engine optimization. And digital marketing in itself is great. And search engine optimization, hopefully I showed you enough statistics that if you rank well and you do well, especially locally, that people on mobile devices are much, much more likely to take action and to have that trust factor with you and to eventually be doing business with you, because that's what it's all about in the end. The next thing is email. And if you work with email campaigns and you send them to mobile devices, I know there are some providers like Constant Contact and MailChimp, and a lot of times they have mobile-friendly templates. You can make your email mobile-specific by not having a giant image that somebody has to scroll through on their phone, because that's not mobile-friendly. You could have it just be simple text, colors, and boxes and make it look pretty flat. You can have the image be smaller than 320 pixels, so it will show up nicely on a smartphone. I think iPhone the 4, I believe, the smaller one on the portrait view is 320 pixels. So if you want to put an image in there and you're thinking about that, if you have an image smaller than 320 pixels, you're fine. But if you're throwing an 800 pixel image in your mobile email, you're not doing it right, because then people are looking at a mobile phone. Sometimes they might have to scroll around and they might not view it right. It's not really a mobile-ready email. So email is important as long as you do it right. Next way to reach your mobile audience in 2015, mobile advertisement. There's ad roll and other retargeting methods. There's Google advertising, and if you do your research, there's a tons of different advertising networks you can get on. Make sure that they have options for mobile only, and you can create a mobile-specific ad. And running at specific times of the day, and really get it hunkered down on it, and it should perform very well for you. Last but not least, I think what's really important is to have a responsive website, and at least have it mobile friendly, if not responsive. You got to make sure you're giving them the right first impression, a good first impression, and it's the face of your company digitally. And having a responsive website is only going to show the potential client or customer that, hey, these guys care about mobile devices. They get it. They're up with the times. They completely understand. So, let's do business with them. Let's see what else they're about. At least we'll click through the website. So that's all I have for this presentation and for how to reach your mobile audience in 2015. And I threw a pretty funny image of a dog catching socks in its mouth, and I used it before, I think at Joomla Day Boston or something like that. I got some good feedback on it, so I put it back in this slide as well. So it makes me laugh, and I know some people get mesmerized by watching the dog catch socks. But if you got one for later, just look up hdwebpros.com. Myself is Ryan at hdwebpros.com. Our account director is John, and so you can just do John at hdwebpros.com as well. And at this point, I will answer any question you guys have.
Very cool. Great job, Ryan.
Thank you.
Some great stats. I definitely learned something, and I think more importantly, you kind of directions we're moving in kind of confirmed some of the things we're working on, mobile apps and mobile ads, things like that. So great stuff, and looks like Carl agrees with me, says outstanding presentation. I agree with Carl anyway. I do want to give a shout out to a couple folks. Sarah
Sweet.
is attending from the UK, and Brandy from Southern California. So you do have a couple questions that have shown up here. Let's see. Emery asked, if you must keep the mobile home page clutter-free to speed up page load, do you recommend a separate mobile site?
Okay, so the first part of the question is, do you keep it clutter-free to increase or to help with the page load? I would say keep it clutter-free for the mobile user. The mobile user that goes on a smartphone, they're not going to want to sift through clutter. You see a lot with, especially with mobile design, things are layered out in stripes or layers. They're kind of a chunk on top of a chunk on top of a chunk. You don't really see the 3-column layout anymore, and you don't see a bunch of different things on there. So I would say to remove the clutter is more for the user, not for the page load. For page load, there's so many different things to look at, like what server you're on. Are you using caching? Are you trying to load a giant image on the mobile website? I know a year and a half ago, around-ish, I wrote a decent blog post on Joomla and page speed on anything digital. And if you Google how to get my Joomla site to load in under 1 second, it'll probably show up there on the first or second result. But for page speed, yeah, I would say don't load any big background images, don't load any big videos or images, don't have a ton of extensions on your Joomla site, because that typically means you're loading in a ton of JavaScript libraries and CSS files that you don't really need. So there's little things I could think about like that. But in terms of clutter, that's more for the user. Keeping it clutter-free is just for somebody who's on the phone and they just don't want to see and sift through a bunch of different things. You just kind of have to get your call to action clear to them right away and give them the information they need pretty fast and without much clutter. So hopefully that answers the question.
I'm just watching this dog here. That's all I'm doing. Sure, I'm like a lot of our attendees. Emery says, yep, you answered the question, so that's good. Diane had another question about some of the statistics you brought up, and Diane, Ryan's contact us here about that. I think you should reach out with him if you have questions about that. It's really interesting stuff. Kimberly posted a question for you, Ryan. We have a website that is primarily used for resource and finding technical data. We are redesigning our website to be responsive. Finally, would it be beneficial to set up an app as well as the responsive design? Our business is not e-commerce.
And the business is research data and information?
Sounds like it is.
Is that correct,
Yeah,
Brian?
yeah, it says primarily used for resource and finding technical data. Does that make sense?
Well, it all depends on, yeah, that makes sense. It all depends, to me, this is just my 2 cents, and take it as far as you want. It all depends on how complex the interface is and how much information you can provide your potential clients and customers, and really it depends on how many steps can you save them with a mobile app. If they have a mobile app that you create that they can click it, they're already signed in, and they have a customized page where all their research and information just kind of shows for them right away, and there's a couple simple buttons for, I don't know what they would need. I don't know the model, so I'm not sure what else they would need the buttons for. But if it's useful for the potential client and you can create an interface for them where they would get much more out of it from a mobile app, then yes, it's worth it. If it's something where it's just like a PDF here or there and there's not much to it, then I would prefer just to have one spot to have them look at, and that would be a responsive website. So it's really hard to say without diving into the business model itself, but I hope my answer works.
Okay, and there does seem to be a little bit of a delay here, so bear with us, folks, just a few seconds. But Kimberly, I hope that Ryan's answer works for you. Ryan, some other compliments. Media says, great presentation. Diane wrote, some great info in the presentation. Many thanks. Carl says, outstanding presentation. Diane posted a question. From what you have said, I guess that you would recommend that large photos in a slide display at the top of the page should not appear on the mobile version of the site. If so, where should I enter the code, and what code should I enter? Good question.
That's a great question. And what I would think about in that instance is, do you want a large photo slider to show on a mobile phone at all? Would it be more effective just to have a background image that's custom made for a mobile device, lower resolution, that loads real fast, and you still have your call to action on top of it? Or is it important to have the images that they can go through? The first thing I would say, if it is important, then they have to have those images. Make a completely different slider and make sure that it has the swipe to touch. So the user will know it's a photo gallery, and they can swipe it with their finger, and they can move along and along. Then second, on that new slider, and I think WidgetKit does that out of the box if you're thinking of a Joomla site. And I know many WordPress sliders do that too. Secondly, for this mobile-friendly slider, just make your images, 600 pixels or less, and make them lower resolution, and make sure that you get the kilobytes down as much as you can. That way, you're not trying to load in a 1200 pixel or 900 pixel or whatever large desktop image that looks nice and clean and crisp. You've got a smaller one that's customized for a mobile phone. And it really depends on the time you have in it. If you want to make a tablet-friendly version that's just a little bit smaller, and a mobile-friendly version that's a little bit smaller, obviously your mobile-friendly version will load really fast and you'll be just fine. But it takes more effort to do that. But typically in those situations, I steer away from the large photo rotator and instead just show a little background image. And if you have a call to action, you can put it on top of it, whether it be a button or a paragraph with a link or whatever it may be. So hopefully that helps.
Okay, yeah, good answer. Good question. I like this question too from Marie, because she's a new Joomla user. She wrote, I'm a relatively new user of Joomla Protostar template that is responsive. Where can I learn techniques you mentioned to selectively take out the code that would make a mobile viewer leave?
Okay, that's a great question. And Bootstrap is in Bootstrap 2, I should say, is incorporated into Protostar, and they have some default code that you can do to make things only display on mobile, to hide on mobile. So let me actually pull up what I mean here, and I'll walk it through you. with the desktop here. So if you go into your browser and you type in getbootstrap.com, it'll show you Bootstrap, and you'll see right now it's currently version 3.3.1. The important thing to remember is the one that's in the core of Joomla, that's with Protostar, is 2.3.2. So if you scroll to the very bottom of this, and you click on the 2.3.2 docs, you click on that, and this will show you the actual version that's incorporated in the back end of Joomla. So that's the first hurdle. Once you get here and you look at the Bootstrap code, I will click on the Get Started, and it shows you how to get started, but you don't have to worry about that. Responsive design. If you click on scaffolding here at the top, this is just the basic part of Bootstrap and how it works. And it's been a while, so hopefully this is the right one to click on. You see on the left here where it says responsive design. You click on that, and you can see the sizes that they do. The large display default, portrait tablets, phone to tablets, and then phones. And then on there's utility classes. And this is the important part and what I've been meaning to get to the whole time. So on your Protostar, if you add a module or something, and you can add a module class suffix on there, if you add visible phone, then it's only going to show on a phone, and it's not going to show on a tablet, and it's not going to show on a desktop. And that's the most common CSS selector in Bootstrap that you can use to create some custom content that will only show on a phone. And on the other side around, if you want something only to show on desktop and tablet, you can give it the class of hidden phone. So if you want to hide it on the phone, you give that CSS class of hidden-phone, and it just won't show it all on a mobile phone. So hopefully that helps you with that. It's mostly with Bootstrap about just adding CSS classes to chunks of codes or areas or modules to make it show and hide on specific devices. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, it's probably worth it, Ryan, don't you think, to mention that it takes a little bit of knowledge of CSS to make some changes like that, or some additions.
Yeah, well, the good thing about Bootstrap is if you know where to put the CSS, it gives you the code. You just got to plug it in. So if you know this is a module and I want to hide it, if you go to the advanced parameters and it says module class suffix, and that adds a CSS class to it, you paste it in there. If you've never worked with CSS before and you're just learning, yeah, I recommend taking Protostar, playing around with it, and adding CSS classes to different things, because the only way to learn is just to get out there and try it. But the good thing about Bootstrap is that it's all written for you, so and it's in the core, so all you have to do is just add the CSS class and it will work for you.
All right. Carl posted a question about Google Analog for mobile advertising, and I'm going to actually try to answer this one, and we'll see if Ryan wants to tell me I'm wrong. But what is the typical cost of an ad with Google? And Google AdWords is actually pretty cool to use, because they let you set your budget, and they let you set how many, a daily budget even. You can have a monthly and a daily budget, and yeah, you can choose a lot when you're creating that ad. And Ryan, Carl also asked, is there another online advertising system outside of Google?
Yeah, there are many. Google is obviously, I would say, the most, the front runner in terms of people that use it, and it's probably the most simple for people to get into right away if they've never used one before. Another one that's been somewhat popular is called AdRoll, and that one also goes across some social media, and you can get pretty specific with it. And what that is, though, is retargeting. It's a little bit of a different advertising method, but in terms of just setting up a mobile advertising spot and trying it out at first, a great place to start out is with Google. But if you just research like mobile advertising networks, you'll find there's a ton of them. And obviously, just like everything else, do a little research and find out what works best for you.
Very good. Marie, going back to the Bootstrap Protostar question says, yes, thank you very much. That gives me a great starting point. Armanda posted a question. Please recommend a good resource for learning Joomla. Armanda, we've got some great Joomla newbie, Joomla beginner resources at CloudAccess.net. Let me come back to that question in just a moment. I will give you links where you can get that. Carl said, thanks to you both. You're very welcome. Let's see. Kristen,
yeah, and I'll piggyback off that for a second too. With the resources for learning Joomla, definitely Cloud Access, and research the webinars, because I know you have a lot of webinars in your library, and it's pretty easy to search through them. That's a great way to learn. You get more of a hands-on, personal look at the different extensions, the people who made them, how to do different things. I know I did one. Like, was it 2 years ago on Cloud Access?
Yeah,
on Bootstrap itself.
Close to 2 years.
There's a bunch of good stuff out there, and definitely, yeah, I definitely recommend Cloud Access for sure for info to get started with Joomla things.
Well, thanks, Ryan. Kristen wrote, this is so helpful, thank you. This is a little off topic, but Ryan mentioned digital marketing a few times, and I would love to get more specific info on digital content marketing SEO with Joomla in the future. Do you have any future or recorded webinars on this topic? We've got some good content on content marketing and SEO, and I can share that with you now. That's actually a pretty nice segue into me stealing the presentation back, and I'm going to show my screen. Ryan, we'll pass it back to you if
Sure.
people have other questions for you. We've got a couple minutes left here. I'm at Happy Dog. I'm at hdwebpros.com right now. If you haven't checked out their site, come here. This is pretty cool. You get a kind of a personal introduction to the company, and they do great work. You can come through and learn about their company, but you can also see that they like to have some fun at work too. There's Ryan right there. But also Ryan mentioned, oops, you guys couldn't see my screen, could you?
No.
Now you can. So I'm at their site right now, and again, if you haven't come here, please come here and check it out. Really cool site you guys made.
Thank you. The video's a little choppy, I'm sure, on the webinar, but if you go there live,
shoot. Yeah.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It'll be nice and smooth if you go there on the on your normal desktop. But
all right.
Yeah, we can see it.
Let's show them Joomla Day, Minnesota. Then Ryan also mentioned Joomla Day, Minnesota. It was July 19th, 2014. They sold out next year, 2015, at the Mall of America. I'm really excited for that. We were a sponsor last year. We'll be a sponsor again next year, and definitely try to get a few Cloud Access faces.
Yeah, we're shooting for 500 people. We were setting the goal really high, and we're trying to keep the price really low so we can get a lot of people in there, and the value that's going to be there is going to be amazing, just like last year. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Very cool. Yeah, me too. So CloudAccess.net, our YouTube channel, first off, youtube.com/CloudAccess. We've got about over 10,000 subscribers now. We do get a lot of content up here and some good stuff too. This is for Armanda specifically. We have a 16-part Getting Started with Joomla tutorial series here. Again, kind of watch you step by step, launching that free site and kind of getting up and running. And then we have the full-length webinars, which Ryan mentioned. These are just learn the basics of Joomla 2.5, and you'll probably want to go with the Joomla 3 here at this point. 2.5 is going to reach its end of life this month, actually. So if you're just getting started, definitely go with the Joomla 3 site. And, of course, some WordPress training material, too. But let's see. The other question came from Kristen about content marketing and SEO. So for that, I'm going to go to our site. I'm going to go to CloudAccess.net. I'm going to go to training, and I'm going to go to our knowledge base. We've got some good content here for you. And I believe it's going to be under additional resources and under search engine optimization. So we've got some recorded webinars in here as well. But content writing, search engine optimization for local business SEO stuff, front-end optimization. We've got a Joomla SEO checklist here, some really good information for you here. So I'm actually going to send this link over to Kristen at this point. Kristen, I just sent you a link. Hopefully you got that. And Armanda, I'm going to send this link to you to get to our YouTube homepage. Actually, I'm going to send this link to our YouTube channel to everybody, because a little bit later today, or perhaps tomorrow, depending on how long it takes to produce and render the final video, I'm going to post this recording here to our special Joomla webinars playlist, so you can get an update, or you can come back and review this content when you're ready. So let me just see here. Marie posted a question about a specific extension, Ryan. In Joomla, there are extensions that image sliders are responsive. Are they generally okay for mobile devices, or would the bootstrap method still need to be coded?
For image rotators, yeah, it's probably, obviously, I think it's a lot easier to use an extension that already has it done. You just yank it in there. One example of one that is, I'm trying to think of the more common ones. The most common for mobile-friendly would probably, I would think, would be maybe WidgetKit, because it has the swipe ability on it. But it all, again, boils down to how big are the images that you're trying to serve on a small phone. If it's really important, I would create another module and have smaller images in there. And they could be the same images, just make them smaller, and then hide the desktop one and show the mobile one with bootstrap classes, and there you go. Then it'll still load fast, it'll be mobile friendly, and that's probably the easiest solution to tackle that.
All right, hopefully that helps a little bit. And again, a lot of thank yous coming in, and that's really nice. Now, I think we'll get to one more question here and say goodbye for today. Jeffrey posted a question. You had mentioned that Joomla 2.5 is reaching its end of life at the end of the month. Yeah, sometime in December here. In January 2015, will Joomla 3.5 be released for long-term support? Ryan, you may know more about that than me. I'm not sure. It seems to be the magic question, really.
Yeah, 3.4 is coming out first, but as we've observed before, it's really hard to hold, the volunteer-driven PLT to specific dates for their release dates, especially if they find a late bug or something like that. We can't force them to launch at a specific date. They do have rough guidelines sometimes, and they kind of plan on when it could be coming out. A great example of what I'm just talking about is what Ryan's showing right now, that it was originally planned to be shown in 2014 in November, and that's passed. So I know just from talking to some of the people in the community that it's really close, and they're making sure that all the additional features and everything they're working on is really up to snuff, because they don't want to push something out that has any kind of security leaks or bugs or anything like that. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration when they're launching a new version like that. So I can't really hold them to any dates, but this version right here, or this kind of gives you a rough idea, and if they go over, you can't really blame them. I guess that's my only way to describe that. But thanks for finding that link, Ryan. This does help out.
Yeah, this is at docs.joomla.org, and it's important to remember when you're talking about Joomla that it is a community of volunteers, and we can't complain. It's a fantastic tool, and it will happen, and there continually, bug squash events happen every month, it seems, and new releases all the time. So one more compliment from Marie, just because compliments are nice. You guys are great. You have helped me a lot. Thank you very much. It's really appreciated. Well, thank you for attending. Thank you, everyone. And Ryan, thanks. It was really awesome. It was a great webinar.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's a little different style than I normally do, but I hope it helped a lot of people, and some light bulbs kind of went off, and people have new ways and motivation to reach their mobile audience in 2015.
Right on. Well, hopefully we can do this again sometime in the future.
For sure. Yeah, we'll set something up.
All right. And thanks for attending, everyone. Don't forget to check in with the YouTube channel a little bit later today or tomorrow to get a recording of this. And good luck developing your mobile strategy.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody, for joining. And get a hold of either of us if you have questions.
All right. Take care.
All right. Thanks. See ya.